to Money Talks. I'm Nancy Stark, and with me today I have my good friend and financial guru, Deanna Booker.
Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Dee. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
Good to see you. For those of you who don't know, Deanna is, beyond her many titles that I've just given her, she's also the Communication and Outreach Manager for Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware. And CCCS is a nonprofit agency that has offices here in Salisbury, also in Easton and Dover. And Deanna, before we really get started, would you like to tell us a little bit about what CCCS does?
Sure. Like you mentioned, we are a nonprofit community service organization. And, excuse me, our mission is to promote hope and create economic self-sufficiency through financial literacy, education, and counseling. So to that end, we offer a wide array of counseling services.
That's
There's
excellent.
budget counseling, credit counseling, housing counseling, which is really big right now, really important, bankruptcy counseling, anything, you know, any kind of counseling that folks might need. And like you said, we have offices right here, Salisbury, Easton, Dover, and we're just ready to help. We've been in business since 1966. We are getting ready, or we are celebrating our 45th anniversary, so we're just here ready to help.
Well, that is wonderful,
Thank
and
you.
we're glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Here we are. It's already 2012. It's hard for me to
know.
believe. I have to say, when I look back over 2011, I have to say the economy did not get a lot better.
No.
It was still sluggish. Unemployment was high still. And as a result of that, it made me think, what can all of us do if we want to be in a better financial position at the end of 2012?
Right. I think, you know, we all want to have, or we have these goals, these money management kind of ideals that we want to set out for ourselves, and we want to reach them, we want to attain them. But that's not going to be possible until we take the first step, which I think is realistic kind of look at where we stand financially. So doing that kind of financial reality check, so to speak.
How do you do
on
that?
Ourselves. So I think an important part of it is to take the time to really review where you are. Get all of your information. Take the time to look at your bank statements, your credit card statements, understand what your mortgage statement is telling you. All of that. You've got to gather up all of that information. I think that's really, really important. And so you can put it all together and really have kind of a holistic picture. This is now, I believe, a good time to request and review a copy of your credit report.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I think it really is. You are entitled, we're all entitled to a free copy from each one of the credit reporting agencies every year. So I think now you don't want to go right now in January and get a copy from all three, because then you're locked out for the rest of the year.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. So now you get it from one, wait a few months, maybe April, May, get it, you know, from the
Again.
second one, wait a few more months, October, November, get it again. So you can be looking at it all throughout the year. But it's important to have all that information to start, like I said, doing this kind of reality check on your
That's
finances.
also a really good chance to review, just to make sure that you didn't become a victim of identity theft over the holidays.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another great reason and really important reason to look at your credit report.
Well, beyond that, I know that we always talk about the B word, about budgeting. And you've told me many times that budgeting is the foundation of everybody's
It is.
finances.
It is.
So this is probably, I'm going to bet you're going to tell me it's a time to revisit your budget.
Always. I know I must say the word budget 1,000 times when we do these shows, but it's important. And now is the perfect time to start delving into that budget. And sometimes people hear budget and they cringe. You know, they think
What if they haven't done it before?
Right, they think it's going to be really, really difficult. Now, I'm not saying that setting up a budget is easy necessarily, but it doesn't have to be that hard. Really, it's just three basic things. First thing you got to do is list and look at all of your sources of income. So everywhere that you get income, your pay from your employer, child support, alimony, unemployment, whatever you're getting
Social
income
Security.
from, Social Security, exactly. Add that all up. Then you want to make that same kind of list and do that same kind of math with all of your expenses. So your rent or your mortgage, utilities, car payment, insurances, all of the things that you have to pay out. You add all that up. Your next step is then to subtract that total expense amount from your total income.
See where you're
Yeah,
at.
I mean, and exactly, see where you're at. It sounds simple, but again, it's a process. You've got to get into the work of it, into the meat of it. Once you do that math and you've subtracted income from expenses, the amount that you are left with is what you then have to pay down debt, to use for savings, whatever it might be that you need to
Right.
use that money for. Now, once you do the math, if you're in the negative,
Ooh, that's not
you
a
know,
good place to be.
right. If you've got more going out than you have coming in, then you're at the point where you need to start looking at, okay, how can I cut back? How can I dig into this, make some changes, cut back on some of these expenses so I'll have enough money to meet my financial obligations. And then you just have to keep reviewing it. The thing about a budget, when you make the budget, the most important next thing to do is stick to it.
That's the hardest
You
part,
have
folks.
to.
That is
And it
definitely
can be
the hardest
difficult.
part.
It can be difficult, but you've got to stick to the budget. And like I said, you have to review it often because things are going to change. We've said before, the only thing that's constant is change. So things are going to change. Stuff is going to happen. Things are going to come up. So your budget, you have to learn that flexibility, I guess is what
You
I'm
don't
saying.
think about it from that point of view, that
Right.
it is actually a flexible document.
It is.
It
It's
isn't just
fluid.
something
It's not
that you
set in
make
stone.
and it's all done.
Exactly. Exactly right.
That's very good advice. Well, so we have made our financial reality check and we have a budget in place. Seems to me at that point we can start looking at what financial goals we have for the future. How do we go about doing that?
Well, I think that goal setting is important, and you want to have the goals set out there. Goals are, like I always say, goals are like the wheels on your car. They keep you moving, in the direction that you want to go. So
Hopefully.
it's right. So some forward progress. It's important to have them. It really is. Goal setting kind of falls into three categories. I usually say you have short-term goals, intermediate goals, long-term goals.
Okay.
A short-term goal is something that you can attain in about a year. So maybe that's you need to buy a new refrigerator, or
Right.
you're saving up to go on vacation or something. So that's a
That's a
short
good
term,
goal.
right? So maybe then an intermediate goal, that's a goal that's going to take you anywhere, say between 1 and maybe 3 years. So that's something a little bit more. That's maybe saving up for a car,
Or tuition for a year.
Exactly.
Right.
So something that's going to take you a little bit longer, but then you've got your long-term goals. These are your goals that are 5, 10, 15 years, down the road. So this is saving for the house or saving for retirement, that kind of thing. These goals require more of an investment because they're going to take a longer amount of time.
Right.
But I really believe that goal setting is important. It does. It just propels you forward.
It definitely is going to take longer to save for a house
Sure.
than it is for
For
a refrigerator.
refrigerator.
That makes sense. So when it comes to setting goals, how do you go about doing that?
Well, I think that the main thing is just to focus, to really focus on what matters,
Okay.
within the frame of that goal. So being practical. I
Think
it
about
comes
what
down-
you want to do.
Exactly. It comes down to practicality. What do I really want to do? Where do I really want to go? Where do I see myself? When we're talking with clients about goal setting, we always use the acronym SMART, S-M-A-R-T.
Okay.
Your goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound.
Oh, I like that.
I
It's an
remember
easy
that.
way to remember it.
But they should be, and all of those things really apply. They really, really speak to what a goal should be about. So I think the focus, the practicality, and then just reviewing, again, like we talked about before, reviewing the goals. Am I making progress? Do I need to make any changes? Am I being effective?
Do you need a plan
Do
for
I need-
doing
exactly,
that?
You do. You need a plan of action. You need, so that the SMART and measurable and attainable, all that speaks to your plan
have
of
an
action.
actual place.
Exactly.
Right.
Speaks to your plan of action. And once you get all that in place, then that review, looking at it, am I being effective and am I making progress? Do I need to make any changes? I think all that kind of goes together.
That makes sense. So not only do you think about what your dreams are, but you have to come up with a viable way of actually achieving them.
Sure, because otherwise they'll just be dreams forever.
That's why they're
Right,
dreams.
right.
It's really interesting when we think about the new year. Of course, there's always New Year. We all are doing our New Year's resolutions that we keep for at least a week, and they do polls as far as on what people are planning to do. And this year on the USA.gov poll, there were 2 financial goals in the top 10. First one was that people want to save. I want to save more this year. How do you go about doing that?
I really think that one of the easiest ways when it comes to saving a little bit of money on a regular basis is the kind of pay yourself first routine.
That's a good idea.
So when you're getting your paycheck, every 2 weeks or every week, it's directly deposited into your checking account. you want to set up some sort of electronic transfer to divert a portion of that money right into your savings. So it's gone before you ever see it.
You won't even miss it.
Right, before you ever get tempted to spend it. That's a good way, that electronic savings and having some money directly deposited into a savings account, that's a good way to build up a little nest egg. And it doesn't have to be huge amounts of money. A lot of times folks think that to be successful at saving, you've got to be saving, enormous
Humongous
amounts of money.
amounts.
Not true. Just a little bit. Every pay is a good way to start building up that nest
more
egg.
important to be consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So I think that's a really kind of painless way to
I like
save.
the idea of painless.
And then, again, just the little things personally that we can do. If we were able to save 50 cents a day, that's like almost $200.
That's spare
a year.
change.
Spare change, loose
$200 a
right,
year.
Right,
Wow.
that we can save. So things like that, little things that we can do, cutting back on, if you're buying that coffee out every day, you're eating fast food out 3 times a week.
Those add up.
They add up. They add up. That, $5 value meal, every day, that's $100 a month.
That's
so,
hard to-
yeah, it's a lot of money. So
Yeah.
if we can make those kinds of small, subtle changes, just kind of in our lifestyle, that's going to go a long way to kind of propelling us towards some successful savings.
Those are all very good ideas. Bet you can't guess what the other New Year's resolution was that was financial goal oriented.
Pay my debts or
You're
get
right.
out of debt.
You won. How did we go about doing
How did
that?
I know? Well, I really think that, we should all start out the new year saying this 2012 is going to be the year that I pay my credit card debt down once and for all.
pledge.
Yes. Once and for all. So we've got to start looking at some ways, that we could do that. Maybe we can qualify for a card that's offering 0% or a low introductory rate, and we can transfer a
idea.
balance over there. We've got to remember not to put any
Oh,
additional
that's the hard
purchases on
part.
that card. But, maybe we can pay some debt down that way. Even if we can't, even if you don't qualify or you can't get something like that, you still don't give up because you can stick to your guns and you can pledge to,
Pledge it in.
pay more than the minimum and get the debts paid down that way. So that's an option.
Yeah, paying that more than that minimum monthly balance is really crucial because if you don't, what happens is it just steamrolls, it seems like.
Exactly. It's exactly right.
Well, let me ask you something. We've covered a lot of ground. We've talked a lot about budgeting. We talked about financial goals. We've talked a little bit about savings and also debt reduction. Does CCCS have any wonderful tools that you can give us that will help us to learn more about these things?
We do. If you go to our website, it's www.cccs-inc.org. You can go to our site and there's a section that's titled Financial Tools. And in that, there's all kinds of great information about budgeting. There's some nifty interactive kind of worksheets that you can use. Right.
For actually setting up your budget.
Exactly. So really some good information there. Also in our resources section, there's some great podcasts that you can listen to, download for free, obviously.
Wow.
And they talk about budgeting and about goal setting. So there's some really good information on the website. Thanks for asking that.
That's excellent,
Yeah,
especially where it's
great
all
information.
free.
Yeah, it's absolutely free.
I would say take advantage, folks.
Free.
At this point, we're going to change gears a little bit. Thinking back over 2011, it really was a pretty tough year for a lot of people. And most of us, I think, have family members or friends who lost jobs, were downsized, or even had some other type of financial setback. So there are a lot of people coming into the year that have serious debt problems. For those people, what can they do?
Well, I think that first folks have to understand that there's nothing quick about this. A lot of the times we didn't get into these kinds of situations overnight, so it's not going to be overnight that we get out. So it's going to take some discipline and some persistence and perseverance. If someone is vowing that they're going to be able to kind of do this on their own, it's going to take some time and some effort and some work. So once you recognize that, I think that you have to just start thinking about, what can I do? Are there ways I can boost my income? Are there ways I can cut back on expenses? Is it possible for me to pick up another job or work some overtime? This is the time to start looking, kind of like what we were saying before, looking at areas where I can cut back, looking at some things that I can make some changes on to try to, boost myself up out of this debt. a lot of times too, we might have some extra money coming in. This is tax time coming up
Oh,
soon.
that's true, for refund.
Right. If we're getting a tax refund, we may be able to use some of that money to pay down some debt, that sort of thing. Also, talking about taxes, if you're getting a large tax refund, this also may be the time to think about exemptions, because if you're getting a really big tax refund every
You
year.
just gave Uncle Sam an interest-free loan for the last year.
Exactly. You're getting a big refund. It means you're not getting that money in your paycheck.
And you could use it there probably.
You could use it. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to have to start thinking about to try to boost ourselves up out of this.
If you're behind on your bills, should you talk to your creditors? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense. So because you want to, you're looking at the budget, you're understanding where you are financially, and if you see, that trouble is coming, that you're going to be on the line, contact your creditors immediately. Don't wait, because they may have something that they can do for you. There may be something that they can work out. Maybe you can negotiate a smaller payment just so you're kind of back on track. So that's really important.
That's a good idea. I know for myself, in dealing with things that are large problems, and for a person when they're dealing with a lot of debt, I know you lose sleep over it,
Sure.
the creditors are calling, or the collection agencies are calling.
Sure.
It seems like it would be really wonderful to have somebody who can help you, that you're not there just by yourself. Is there anything like that available?
Absolutely. If you recognize that your situation is dire and you need outside help, get it. Do not wait. If you need outside help, get it. Don't wait
think that's
1
true.
second. You want to come to Consumer Credit Counseling Service, a reputable nonprofit counseling agency, so you can get the professional help that you need to start, moving you along the right track. You want to talk to a counselor and be able to get that kind of assistance.
Now, I know that there are a lot of different kinds of organizations out there helping people who have problems with money. And I hear about debt settlement. A lot of times I see ads for them on TV. I also know about credit counseling. What's the difference between those two?
Right. Every place that says they offer help, with money problems isn't the same. So you want to do some, and it's great that you bring that up. You want to do some research and find out. Debt settlement, for instance, you may hear it also referred to as debt negotiation or arbitration. It's a process where creditors will agree to accept less than the balance that you owe, but call the debt paid in full. Now, debt settlement companies are for-profit organizations, so they may charge a really large fee, for their service. And there's some unscrupulous ones. You've seen the ads. They say, "Oh, we can reduce your debt,
dime on the dollar,
50%, and all this kind of thing." They make all these grandiose promises, and we've all heard the saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And it usually is with those kinds of places. So you want to make sure you do the research. There's a big difference. Credit counseling, on the other hand, a consumer credit counseling at a reputable nonprofit counseling agency, you are going to find counselors whose main goal is to help. We're
that's
focused,
wonderful.
right? We're focused on helping that client, educating that client, offering free education, giving the right kind of free advice, to really help clients move forward in their process to gain some financial stability.
So you really are looking out for their best interests.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, I know in your past life, and maybe even now, you do some credit counseling.
My past
How
life.
does credit counseling work?
Well, credit counseling, a client just has to come to us. They can call our 1-800 numbers, 800-642-2227, and the person who answers the phone is going to walk with them, through setting up an appointment, letting them know everything that they need to bring with them to an appointment. Counselor's going to need to go over information about their income, about their expenses, so we can do that financial assessment. You
have to know their situation in order to be able to help them.
Exactly. So we can see really where a person is, really what they need, what their situation is. So we're going to do that assessment. We're going to kind of get down to the meat of what might be happening with them. And then it really is just dependent upon that person's situation, what they need. There are all kinds of options, that a person might benefit from when it comes to handling their debt.
What kinds of options would that be?
Well, I mean, we might look at a person's situation and we might work with them, and maybe it's just that they need some help with their budget. They just need us to work with them and tweak their budget and get them, kind of set back right, and then they can go off and handle it on their own. Or from that, there may be another extreme where a person has to file bankruptcy. They don't have any other options, you know. It's that
that's a
bad,
serious
and so we
option.
have to work with them
Last
on that.
chance,
Exactly. Or somewhere in the middle, you know, somebody might need our debt management program.
Are there a lot of
so-
people who use debt management?
There are, and if it's the viable option, if it's the best option for a client, that's something we can enroll them in. In a debt management program, a client is going to make one payment each month to Consumer Credit Counseling Service. We are then going to take that payment and disperse it to all of their unsecured creditors on their behalf.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So it offers that structure, you know, and a client knows that their payment's going to be sent out each and every month.
Oh, that's wonderful. So do they learn any skills along the way while they're in the program?
Absolutely, because as the program goes forward, yes, we're paying off debt. And that's a big relief. You know, we're helping.
I would think so,
Helping
yeah.
a client get out from under some debt. However, person might be in a program for 5 years. Up to 5 years is
That's
as long.
a pretty large commitment.
Yeah, that's as long as a debt management program can run. So if a person's in a program for 5 years, not only are we helping them repay the debt, but along the way, they're gaining some financial skills. They're learning, they're changing their behavior. They're learning better financial habits. You know, so when they're done with the program, and yes, all of their debt is paid off, and that's great, but also now they've got a whole new skill set, you know, that they can take and put to use for the rest of their lives. So it really is a positive thing.
That's
It
wonderful.
really is.
When people sign up or enroll in a debt management program, what are the major motivations for doing that, you think?
I really think it's the structure. I really think that folks like the idea of knowing, you know, that their payment, they can send that one payment in and it's going to be sent out. Their creditors are going to be paid. And also there's some light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I
Right.
think folks they know what to expect. They know when they can expect to be paid off. They know how much money each month, you know, and it just relieves, I think, people of some of the headache and stress that can go along with trying to manage debt. Also, there's the added benefit of some concessions that creditors may make for them along the way. So maybe interest rates are reduced, maybe payments are lowered.
So they're
that sort of thing.
ultimately not paying as much.
Right.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You know, lowered monthly payments, so that kind of thing. But I think really the structure and the knowing and having the sense and the relief that comes with it.
Well, speaking from a personal perspective, what's the biggest challenge in being a credit counselor, you think?
Wow. That's a good question.
Make you think.
I think, you know, as a counselor, I learned relatively quickly that bad things can happen to good people.
It's a sad fact
It
of
really
life.
is. It can be. So you see folks sometimes at their worst. You know, they're in really bad, really low positions in their lives. They come to us for a lot of
Scared.
reasons. Scared, yes. They come to us for a lot of reasons. You know, maybe there was a medical problem or job loss or divorce, whatever it was. And folks are just, they're low sometimes. So it can be a challenge because sometimes people feel ashamed or, like you said, they're scared, they're
So
fearful.
they wait.
They wait. That's exactly what I'm getting
Yeah.
to. So it can be a challenge as a counselor. I know it has been for me in the past. I've sat across the desk from a person thinking, wow, I wish she had come here 6 months ago, you know, or, you know, because the longer you wait, the less options you have and the harder it gets to deal with, you know, so that's why I'm
So
always
it's
stressing.
very important.
Yeah, I'm always stressing whenever I'm talking to people, if you need help, don't wait, get it. So that pains me sometimes. So I think that might be a challenge for me.
Given those challenges, what would your advice be to people who are in a situation where they're struggling with their finances?
Well, I know I've said it probably 4 times. Don't wait. I can't stress it enough. I really can't. It really does bear repeating. If you know you need help and you know if you need help, get it. Do not wait. Do the research, do the homework, seek the advice of a reputable counseling agency like Consumer Credit Counseling Service in Maryland and Delaware and get the help that you need. That can start you. That can really propel you quicker than you might think onto the road to financial security and stability.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, can you believe it? We are getting close to the end again. It always
nice.
goes so fast
It
when
goes
you're here,
so
Deanna. Before we leave, though, I'm thinking 2012, here we are in January. Can you believe it's already tax time again?
Yeah, I can.
It's hard to believe for me. What advice would you give about preparing? What should we be doing now so that we're ready for April 15th?
I think right now the best thing to be doing is just getting all your stuff together, gathering up all of your documentation, gathering all your paperwork, so all your income related stuff, all your deduction related stuff, just really be working on getting your paperwork together, I think.
Can you tell me, when we're talking about income and we're talking about deductions, what are some of the things that people in the audience should be thinking about?
Right. What I mean when I say income-related documentation, this is your W-2s. You know, if you've gotten pay from an employer, or your 1099s, if you know you own rental property or you're a private contractor, that kind of thing. Social Security, unemployment, you know, whatever your sources of income have been, you wanna be gathering that information, and your deduction information. What I mean by that are like your 1098 forms, you know.
For your mortgage
For your
interest.
mortgage, if you've paid mortgage interest, or statements or receipts about student loan, you know, payments that you've made, charitable donations, health care costs, child care costs, anything like that that you're in hopes of taking a deduction for. You want to make sure you have all that paperwork available.
The more you have, the better chance you have
Yeah.
of actually making the deduction. And
Exactly.
also, if Uncle Sam pays a call, you're in better
Yes,
shape.
a little audit check.
That's right. That's right. Is there anything else we can do to prepare for April 15th?
Yeah, I think once you've gotten all the paperwork together, it's going to be a little easier for you to be able to estimate how much you're going to owe, if you're going to owe something, or what you'll be refunded for last year. So at IRS, you can go to www.irs.gov and kind of do a little of that calculating. And I think calculating now is going to give you a little bit of a leg up, because if you do owe, this is going to let you have some time, you know, to save up.
Yeah, you can
before
start
the-
saving towards that
Exactly.
April 15th
right,
date.
before the due date comes. And also, on the other hand, if you're going to get a refund, you can start looking at maybe, like we said before, adjusting some of those exemptions going forward for this year. You know, maybe you can have less taken out, so you'll have more money, you know, in your paycheck each and every pay. So like we said, you're not just giving Uncle Sam that interest-free loan.
That's good
Yeah.
advice on that.
Yeah.
For people who are in that situation, who want to get an exemption change, how do they go about doing that?
You just want to go and into work and talk with the folks in your HR department and get the W-4 form, and you'll be able to make those changes, fill out that form, make those changes. And it really can be a benefit, because like I said, you can end up with more money in your paycheck each and every pay, which can go toward your goals, your budgeting, your saving. All that can really help.
Wouldn't all of us like more of that?
Yes.
That's wonderful advice. And before we close, I want to give you one more chance to give everybody out there the contact information
Oh,
for
yes.
CCCS for free credit counseling if they
Yes.
want budget counseling.
Absolutely.
What do
You
they
can
do?
call us at 1-800-642-2227, or they can visit our website. It's www.ccs-inc.org, or you can like us on Facebook. We're at CCCS of Maryland and Delaware, and it's all spelled out. So CCCS of Maryland and Delaware, all written out.
Well, that's exciting information. Dee, it's always a real pleasure to have you
Oh,
here.
it's my pleasure.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year again.
Happy New Year to you.
And to all of you out there, Happy New Year. And thanks so much to PAC 14 for all they do for us and
Yes.
helping us promote financial
Yes.
literacy in the area. We hope you all have a wonderful 2012.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.